Before we start the actual content of this presentation, you should know that this video has been recorded for use in more than one class. As a result, there may be some things in this video that do not apply to the specific class that you are taking. Please just consider that an added bonus at no extra charge. Also, there is a PDF file attached to your assignment that contains the numbers that will be referenced in this video. If you have not downloaded and printed that PDF file yet, it is highly suggested that you pause the video and do so. Specific references to specific numbers will be part of the presentation, and those numbers are on the PDF file. This particular presentation will cover a number of general metrics used in analyzing financial statements using a wide view of the operations of the company. In other presentations, there will be more specific metrics examined. I should also add that the formats have been pre-entered into this video to save time on the video. You most likely won't have that luxury if you are doing this in the real world. So let's get started. The first metric which will be examined is the net operating profit after taxes, NOPAT. Explanations for use of these metrics are contained in your textbook. This video will pretty much just contain instructions for completing them. The NOPAT is calculated by multiplying the earnings before interest and taxes times the percentage left after taxes are paid. The numbers needed are on the income statement and on the additional information that is usually provided with a set of financial statements. To find the earnings before interest and taxes may require some extra calculations. There could be times when a net income has to have taxes and interest expenses added back into it to find this number. In the case of this video example, the needed number is easy to find, as it is the number just before interest is deducted from the operating income. For this case, it is the current fiscal year A operating income of $6,490,000. Since a lot of zeros just clutter up an income statement, you will notice that the number looks like $6,490. I hope you will also notice that the fourth line of the title of each of the financial statements says, in thousands. That allows you to skip the 3 zeros at the end of any of these numbers. For the sake of this presentation, 6490 is typed in. Now you should look almost all the way to the bottom of your printed PDF file to see the additional information. In this case, it is showing 40% for the income tax rate. If you multiply the 6490 times 40%, you will get the wrong number. This metric does not calculate taxes. It calculates what is left after taxes. Therefore, you will notice on the screen that there is a 1 and then you put in the 40% tax rate in the workbook cell to the right. That is done by typing 40 and a percent sign. Now to enter the calculation. In using Excel, you will start a formula with an equals sign, then click on the workbook cell with the earnings in it. Then you type an asterisk, which is used to signify multiplication, and put in an open parenthesis and a 1 and a minus sign. Now you click on the tax rate, put in a close parenthesis, and press enter. You've just calculated the net operating profit after taxes. In this case, it says $3,894,000 without the trailing zeros. One more thing you will notice is that most accounting texts provide this answer as dollars with a dollar sign. In the case of large numbers of companies, the numbers will also be in thousands or millions. The general practice when in thousands or millions for external reporting is to not use decimal places. Please do not do so for these metrics. The next item on your screen is the operating current assets. There is a short definition there, but if the definition in your book differs, it is suggested that you use the definition in your book for any assignments. Again, these numbers are going to be in thousands of dollars. And again, the format has been pre-set up for this video. All of these numbers are from the Assets section of the balance sheet, and they are all together on the balance sheet. For cash, the number is $690,000, but the last 3 zeros will be dropped. You should make a note to yourself that when you are doing multiple analyses at the same time, all your formats should be consistent. Under the cash number, you will find $949,000. And what is done with the 3 trailing zeros? They are ignored. Below, merchandise inventory is $10,394,000. Again, no trailing zeros. Finally is $50,000 of supplies. 50 is typed in. Please notice that short-term marketable securities, while under current assets, are not something that would normally be used in generating operating activity revenue. On that basis, the number is not part of the operating current assets. The easiest way to get the total on this is to use the Excel sum function. To do so, an equal sign is typed in, followed by SUM, an open parenthesis, and then using the mouse highlighting the column being summed. Finish with a close parenthesis and press Enter. The answer here is $12,083,000, but without the trailing 3 zeros. Next, we calculate the operating current liabilities. There is a definition there, but in the interests of simplicity for the videos, this is a very easy problem. The issue is that on the balance sheet, the only operating liability is accounts payable. The fact that notes payable is on the balance sheet as a current liability has nothing to do with operations. Notes payable is a financing function. Therefore, the accounts payable number of $9,652,000 without the 3 trailing zeros goes into the workbook cell next to accounts payable. To finish this schedule, highlight the line under the 9652, type an equal sign, click on the workbook cell above, and press Enter. The next metric is almost a no-brainer. Type the 12083 number for the operating current assets that was calculated above in the correct workbook cell, and the 9652 number from the operating current liabilities, from above a couple of workbook cells over. To calculate the net operating working capital, highlight the workbook cell under Title, type an equal sign, highlight the $12,083,000, type a minus sign, highlight the $9,652,000, and press Enter. Keep in mind while doing assignments that getting either of the numbers above wrong means that this will also be wrong. It's amazing how far a small mistake at the beginning of an assignment can go in having the wrong answers all the way down a workbook. The next metric is the total net operating capital. The first number to put in is the answer to the prior problem, $2,431,000 without the trailing zeros. As the note above the actual calculation indicates, usually operating long-term assets are the net plant and equipment. Looking at the balance sheet on your PDF printout, you will see that for the current fiscal year, A, the total property, plant, and equipment, which in this case is also the net property, plant, and equipment, is $22,519,000. 22519 is entered into the appropriate workbook cell. To calculate the total, enter into the total workbook cell and equal sign, highlight the 2431, enter a plus, highlight the 22519, and press enter. Please remember that the use for these metrics is in your textbook, or if you find yourself wondering about this metric out in the real world years from now, check the web. Now that you understand the process for getting to the net operating working capital, you get to redo it for the prior year so that you can calculate the net investment in operations, sometimes also called the net investment in operating capital. You could go back and redo all three of the metrics that you just completed using prior year numbers, or you could use a shortcut. The shortcut calculates the net operating working capital for the prior year in one step. Into the NOWC workbook cell, type an equal sign and an open parenthesis followed by 658 plus 879 plus 9514 plus 65, followed by a close parenthesis, followed by a minus sign, followed by 10669, and press enter. These are the numbers from the last year and correspond to the current year as demonstrated above. As you will note, the last year's net operating working capital is $447,000 without the trailing three zeros. The last year's operating long-term assets is much easier as it is right there on the balance sheet. Type in 22408. Add the two numbers as described in calculation of the total net operating capital above. The totals from the last two described operations are now put into the next couple of lines. The current total net operating capital as calculated above is 24950. The prior year total net operating capital as calculated above is 22855. Use the same subtraction technique in the net investment in operations workbook cell that was used for the net operating working capital. This leaves a net investment in operations of $2,095,000 without the trailing zeros. The final metric for this video is free cash flow, abbreviated as FCF. This metric takes the NOPAT and subtracts the net investment in operating capital. Type 3894 in the workbook cell under NOPAT, 2095 in the workbook cell under net investment in operating capital, and use the same subtraction function as described in prior metrics.